In the news this week, the Christian Institute responds to the findings of a new religious liberty poll. In Parliament, an MP raises the case of a Christian school threatened by new British values regulations. And in this week's Choose Life story, a mother says the final moments with her daughter were the most precious in her life. Hello and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. The Liberal Democrats claim Britain's drugs laws should be dramatically changed, but Downing Street has rejected the idea. The Lib Dems made the call following a report which looked at numerous other countries' attitudes towards the issue. The report stated, "The evidence from other countries shows that levels of drug use are influenced by factors more complex and nuanced than legislation and enforcement alone." Norman Baker, a Liberal Democrat minister, said, "This comprehensive report shows that other ways of tackling drug addiction in supply can save lives and cut crime. It's time for a radical change in British drugs policy." But Downing Street strongly disagreed. It said, "This report provides no support whatsoever for the Lib Dems policy of decriminalisation. The Lib Dem policy would see drug dealers getting off scot-free and send an incredibly dangerous message to young people about the risks of taking drugs." Education Secretary Nicky Morgan has said she probably would support same-sex marriage if she were asked to vote again on the issue. She made the comments during an interview on BBC Radio 4's Today programme, while discussing the government's £2 million programme focusing exclusively on homophobic bullying.
Wider one on gay marriage, you voted against. Have you changed your mind in the period since it became law?
Well, yes, because I welcome absolutely anybody who enters into a commitment, and I'm working very hard with ministerial colleagues in terms of delivering the final piece of this, which is to allow people to convert from civil partnerships into same-sex marriages. We're working towards a date in December to get that done, and I do understand, of course, why people will say, well, she voted a particular way and now she's Equalities Minister. We're all, as members of Parliament, we're here to represent, to listen, to change minds. But I had a lot of constituents who asked me to vote in a particular way, and I listened to them, and it was an issue of conscience too. But I have certainly learnt an awful lot doing this job.
Yeah. Mrs Morgan's statement represents a U-turn in her views from last year, when she said that her own belief was that marriage is between a man and a woman. She was one of over 150 MPs who opposed gay marriage legislation last May. Just 1 in 10 voters in marginal constituencies think religious liberty has improved since David Cameron became Prime Minister. That's according to a ComRes poll commissioned by the Christian Institute of 1,000 British adults living in the 40 tightest Conservative Labour marginals. The survey showed that over 4 in 10 voters support legal protections for people with sincere, profoundly held beliefs. And only 11% think religious freedoms have advanced under the coalition government. Colin Hart, director of the Christian Institute, said the results show voters want real protections.
Voters in key marginal seats are concerned about religious liberty and free speech. There have been a number of damaging court rulings where the government has backed the wrong side, and this has helped create a climate of fear. And the message from this poll is that voters in key marginals want to see real protections for people of faith.
In our latest Choose Life story, a mother speaks of the time she spent with her newborn daughter before she succumbed to a rare genetic disorder. Charlene McCabe's daughter Mila was diagnosed with Edwards syndrome in the 34th week of her mother's pregnancy. The multiple complications arising from the condition mean that life expectancy is short and abortion is offered in many cases. But for Charlene, the nearly 2 hours she had with Mila after birth were the most precious of her life.
With any baby being diagnosed with Edwards syndrome, what you're told is Edwards syndrome is incompatible with life. I just think you have to give your child a chance. And I think for your own peace of mind, to get through the rest of your life, you always have in your head that you carried your baby as long as you could and you give them the best chance in life. And I had an hour and 55 minutes with her, and it's the most precious hour and 55 minutes of my life.
For more stories, visit the Christian Institute's Choose Life Hub at christian.org.uk/chooselife. And finally, the case of a Christian school which is under threat from new British values regulations has been raised in Parliament by a Christian MP. David Burrows, MP for Enfield Southgate, questioned Education Secretary Nicky Morgan about the recent inspection of Trinity Christian School near Reading by schools regulator Ofsted. He also raised the issue of Orthodox Jewish schools where girls were left traumatised after being asked inappropriate questions by inspectors. But Mrs Morgan dismissed Mr Burrow's concerns.
Do reports that Ofsted is demanding of a Christian school that they invite an imam to take collective worship, and requests made of Jewish school children, intrusive questions about their views on sexuality, really promote British values?
Well, can I thank the Honourable very much indeed. This is clearly a matter for Ofsted, and they are investigating as to exactly what was said to the school. I think that we would all agree that the fundamental British values of respect, democracy and tolerance are shared by all schools and all people of all faiths.
The Christian Institute is supporting Trinity Christian School. The Institute is also pursuing a judicial review against the new regulations which were brought in last month. Well, that's all for this week. For more information and regular updates on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.